Last year, I saved over $100,000.
Not because I got a massive promotion, not because I sold a company, and certainly not because I figured out how to day trade crypto in my bathroom between Zoom calls.
I saved it because I did things that are so boring, so tedious, and so deeply unsexy that if I told you about them at a dinner party, you would physically move away from me to get another drink.
We are drowning in a culture of financial flexing. We are told that wealth is built on the big win, the right stock pick. But that's a lie. Or at least, it's only half the truth.
The actual math of wealth, the boring, uncomfortable, spreadsheet-level math, looks completely different. And if you're not willing... Today, we're gonna look at the 10 unsexy habits that move the needle for me. No hype, no get rich quick, just the psychological warfare of keeping your own money.
We are currently living through a moment where the financial system feels rigged. Housing prices are absurd. Interest rates are a weapon. When the macro environment is this hostile, people do one of two things.
The first group panics. They chase yield. They jump into high-risk opportunities because they feel like they need to swing for the fences just to stay in the game.
The second group checks out. They say, inflation is eating my savings anyway, so why bother?
Both of these groups are wrong. And both are being controlled by the same emotion, fear.
But here's the uncomfortable truth that the financial entertainment complex doesn't want you to hear. In a high-inflation, high-uncertainty economy, and those leaky faucets? They aren't the avocado toast. They're much darker than that. Let's start with number 1. It's the habit that makes people the most uncomfortable. The one that sounds like homework.
Habit 1. The quarterly audit of shame.
Every 3 months, I sit down and I download every single transaction from my bank accounts, my credit cards, and my investment platforms.
Why? Because apps gamify saving. They give you a dopamine hit for categorizing a coffee purchase as food, but they desensitize you to the number.
Last year, during one of these audits, I found a subscription service that I had been paying for since 2018. It was a
$2,820. Gone. For nothing. No asset, no equity. Just a hole in the ground I was filling with a digital shovel for half a decade. The audit isn't about finding the big thing. It's about finding the 1,000 small cuts you've stopped noticing. If you don't look at the blood, you don't know you're bleeding out.
Habit 2. The insurance gladiator arena.
Insurance is designed to be boring. Auto, home, health, umbrella. They auto-renew for a reason. The companies bank on your inertia.
I treat my insurance renewal month like a gladiator match. I call 3 competitors. I get quotes. I threaten to leave my current provider. Last year, by switching my auto and home bundle, I saved $1,400. Not because I drive safer, not because I moved to a safer neighborhood.
That's $1,400 tax-free. Show me a stock that guarantees that return in an afternoon.
Habit 3. The buy it for life tax.
This sounds like common sense, but it's actually a trap. We've been conditioned to optimize for the lowest price today. Here's the math that changed my brain. I used to buy $80 sneakers every 8 months because the soles would wear out. Over 5 years, that's $600.
But here's the difference. At the end of 5 years, I own a pair of boots that fit me perfectly and have character. In the sneaker scenario, I own 6 pairs of landfill trash. When you buy cheap, you aren't saving money. You're just deferring the cost to a future date, with interest paid in frustration. We've covered the administrative stuff. Now we get into the psychological warfare. This is where the real savings happen.
Habit 4. The 24-hour cart jail.
I have a rule. If it's over $100 and it's not a perishable food item, it goes in the cart. And then...
Retailers spend billions of dollars studying the pain of payment. They want you to buy when your dopamine is high, when you're tired, when you're...
The 24-hour rule breaks the spell. It separates impulse from intention.
About 70% of the time, I wake up the next day and I don't want the thing. I wanted the feeling of buying the thing.
Habit 5. The housing anchor.
We are told that renting is throwing money away, that home ownership is the ultimate wealth-building tool. But the math on that broke a long time ago. When I was saving for this $100,000 goal, I was renting an apartment that was significantly below what the bank said I could afford. But the bank wanted to give me a loan for a house with a $4,000 monthly payment. Instead, I rented for $2,200.
Let's do the math. The difference there is $1,800 a month. That's $21,600 a year in cash flow. Not equity, cash flow. That $21,600 didn't go to property taxes. It didn't go to a new roof. It didn't go to special assessments. Insurance. In a low interest rate world, buying a house was a cheat code. In a high interest rate world with inflated prices, renting and
Habit 6. The kitchen truce.
I am not going to tell you to stop eating out. You're an adult. But I am going to tell you to do the math on convenience creep.
The average takeout meal for 2 people in a major city now runs between $50 and $70 after fees, taxes, and tip.
I made a deal with myself. I don't order delivery. If I want to eat out, I have to go get it. Or I have to sit in the restaurant.
That friction, the act of putting on pants and driving, cuts my convenience spending by about 60%.
And here's the secret. Cooking isn't just cheaper, it's a hedge. When you know how to cook, inflation in the restaurant industry stops affecting your bottom line.
We're halfway there. The next 3 habits are invisible. You can't see them in your bank account unless you know what you're looking for.
Habit 7. The carnivore diet for assets.
I cull my investments like a zookeeper culls an overpopulated herd. Once a year, I sell anything that is fine.
If I have a stock, an ETF, or a position that has been flat for 3 years while the market is up 40%, I kill it.
Holding on to a bad investment because you don't want to realize the loss, or because you're waiting to break even, is called the disposition effect.
Selling the losers, taking the tax write-off, and putting that capital into a boring, diversified index fund saved me thousands last year.
Habit 8. Versus the travel shuffle.
Travel is the biggest black hole in most people's budgets, and it's become exponentially more expensive.
I have a boring, obsessive habit. I don't use credit card points for lifestyle inflation. I use them to offset costs.
Last year, those points paid for my flights to see my family for the holidays. That was $1,200.
But the unsexy part? I book my travel on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. I use the Matrix fare search tools. I take red eyes. I don't care about it.
If you travel like your favorite Instagram influencer, you will pay for the privilege of looking like them. I travel like a supply chain manager.
Habit 9. The dopamine fast.
This is the weirdest one. But stick with me. We live in a consumption economy. The entire internet is optimized to make you want things.
I set my phone to grayscale mode. No color. Everything is black and white.
This sounds ridiculous, but it works. When you remove the color from the screen, the dopamine hit drops by about 70%.
When your phone is boring, you stop wanting to buy things you don't need. It's a small, free habit that creates a barrier between your eyes and your wallet.
We've arrived at number 10. This is the habit that ties all the others together. And it's
Habit 10. The art of saying, I can't afford it. We have replaced the phrase, I can't afford it, with, it's not a priority right now.
We do this to protect our egos. We don't want to look poor. We don't want to look like we aren't successful. But it's not a priority is a lie you tell yourself so you don't have to feel the discomfort of scarcity.
I started telling people the truth. When friends wanted to go to the $400 tasting menu, I can't afford that, let's do the taco spot instead.
When a family member suggested a destination wedding that required a $2,000 flight, I can't make that work financially, but I'll send a gift and we'll FaceTime.
The first time I said it, I felt like I was admitting a failure. But something strange happened. No one cared.
When you admit you can't afford something, you take control of the narrative. You stop spending money to maintain a fiction.
This one habit, being brutally honest about my limits, stopped me from buying a car I didn't need, attending events I didn't want to go.
So there they are, 10 habits. No day trading, no real estate flips, just boring, consistent, almost obsessive behavior.
When I add them up, the insurance savings, the rent differential, the canceled subscriptions, the culled investments, the avoid.
But here's the irony.
I don't feel richer. I feel more in control. And there's a difference.
We are taught that money is about what you earn. But the older I get, the more I realize that money is actually about what you keep.
And keeping money requires you to behave in ways that the modern economy is actively fighting against. It requires boredom. It requires saying no.
The question that lingers for me, and the one I'll leave you with, is this. If you stripped away all the things you buy to impress other people, how much of your life would actually change?
And more importantly, if no one was watching, how much faster would you reach the life you actually want?
I guess that's a math problem only you can solve.